You ready? Hello, we are Absolva, and you are listening and watching and tuning in to Rockin' Haki Sana.
Well, here we are in Helsinki in a nice hotel with Absolva, the guys from Manchester, UK. And you are here with Blaze, but let's talk about Absolva. As we all can see, Carl is not sitting on the sofa with you, Chris, Luke and Martin. It's Tom, and he's kind of made a comeback. What happened? Was it obvious choice that you asked Tom, or did Tom phone you that you need me?
Interesting question. When there was a bass opportunity in Absolva, the obvious choice was to put Luke back on the bass because of his background and his capabilities. So as soon as there was a bass opportunity, we put Luke back on the bass. And I think he kind of wanted to go back to bass anyway. And then we already were having Tom as a deputy for some shows over the past few years. And we thought, rather than having to audition and find somebody, we all had a meeting and said, we really want to offer the guitar duty back to Tom. And it saves a lot of trouble because you don't have to get to know somebody again. You don't have to worry about, is this going to gel, chemistry and all these things. And we were very lucky that he said yes. So that it's worked out absolutely amazing because, of course, he is the original Absolva guitar player from Flames of Justice. And so, yeah, he just kind of had a 12-year holiday, and that's it. So
Tom, did you have to, think about rejoining band, or was it obvious that, okay, I'm coming back when there's a chance?
It kind of just felt a bit natural, really. Obviously I was back with the guys all them years ago. I've always been great friends with them, even when I was away from the band. And again, there's kind of a few hints that was kind of dropped. Obviously, they asked me the questions first to do some shows with Blaze. And then it was kind of like, well, we do want another guitarist, so do you want to join? And the rest is history already, really. And it's just felt really natural, slotted back in with them. It kind of feels like we've never left, really, even though it's over 10 years later. And again, it's just great to work with them. They're all really kind, they're very efficient.
See, already the compliments.
We tell the other bits after dark. But no, it's just, it didn't really need much thinking about. It's one of them things in your own head. It's like, is this the right way to go? And everything said yes. And it's been, really exciting, really good fun.
But you actually recorded your latest album, Justice, with Carl. So what do you think about them? The Justice album and those songs, because I ask you this because you weren't playing on the album, but of course you've heard it, you played the songs. I think it's really strong album with the songs are much better. This is not by any bad means good songs earlier, but the strongest album for me that you guys have been doing. So what do you think about the Justice album?
We were actually having a few drinks at Chris's one night, and it was getting very late in the evening. And this is before they'd announced, the new album was coming, anything like that. And Luke and Chris both said, "Do you fancy a listen to the new album?" And it was like, "Yeah, go on then." And we listened to every single track, and straight away I was like, "This is incredible. It's phenomenal work straight away." And obviously then having to learn the songs to play them live has been absolutely phenomenal because I'm learning all the parts that Luke had done originally. And Luke's playing in a different way that I normally would. So it's almost like getting lessons off someone else, how they've played the guitar solos on it. So it's been really fun and really interesting to actually learn other people's techniques. And again, they're just really good fun songs to play. And it's just been really good fun all the way through it. Just really making me think. Some techniques I'd never think of using, and it's like, oh right, this is a really cool way to go. So yeah, it's basically a well done from me.
Thank you very much.
critics that you got from the album? Because it's been, getting really positive vibes from everywhere. They have been, writing reviews about it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I'm very happy the reviews went as good as they did. It was the first time we had all these guests on the album, having Blaze sing a song for us, Ronnie Romero, we had Luke's friend Stu Block from Iced Earth Days, and we had fantastic David Marcellis from Lord Vulture from the Netherlands. All of them did an amazing job for guest vocals. That was an idea from Luke that I've constantly been ignoring for many years, and he managed to persuade me this time. And normally I always think, it's going to take too long, everyone's got a different schedule, how much is it going to cost? And then this time we thought, actually, we could get Blaze to do a song. We've just been touring with Ronnie. Luke emailed Stu. I'm always in contact with my friend David. Thought, these guys we can actually make this happen. And it was really exciting to get the tracks off these people and start building the album, and make it something completely different to what we've done before. So this album is very, very unique compared to the the other Absolva albums. So that's something special. So I'm very happy,
So before we continue, I'd like to mention a few honourable mentions, really, to some special guests, because we of course had the lead vocalists Stu, Ronnie, David, and Blaze, but we also had our what we call the Blackford Bridge choir on about 5 or 6 songs, which consisted of Tom, my good friend Rishi Mehta, who's a great guitarist, vocalist, Joe May, who is pretty much like an extra member of the band who tours with us regularly. We also had Chris and myself as the choir. But on one track in particular, Atlas, which Blaze guested on, we also had about 10, maybe 12 members of the Absolva fan club sent in a bunch of voice notes saying the word war, and at the beginning of the track Atlas, War Between the Gods, we had all this kind of like phasing and little whispers of the word war. So that was a nice thing to do, to kind of give back to the fans, to allow them the opportunity, and we're very grateful for the support that our fan club especially gives us. It was a nice little treat to say, you're on an Absolva album with us. So that was also a very, very nice touch that we did, and I'm very, very proud of the Justice album. It's always with, the bands always say their latest stuff is the best, but for me this is definitely the proudest album, lyrically, musically, and also artwork wise. I think it's fantastic. It's something very, very different for Absolva, and it was an absolute pleasure to work on with the artist and with the band. So yeah, so thumbs up, all positive vibes over here.
Well, but Martin, what do you think about all the stuff that happened in the band, and for example, live situations? You're sitting in the back playing. Are these guys as mad as before, or did Tom bring some extra elements to the stage performance?
I think, the energy levels are pretty much the same, if I'm honest. He has brought something a little bit different to us. Obviously, Aki, as I call him, Tom, and Luke are two different, completely different styles of guitarists. So there's, like Aki was saying before, he's had to ask Luke for help, lessons, and the way he plays, stuff different, because like most musicians, everybody thinks differently and plays differently, and you'll see somebody play something and hear it and you think, why have I never thought about playing it that way before? So it's probably done Aki the world of good, thinking a little bit different. I must say he's done very well, because apart from having to learn all the Absolva stuff, back catalogue and set list, he's also had to do stuff with Blaze. So me, Chris and Luke had to do, we've done stuff, but Aki's had to learn twice as much in such a short space of time, so he's done very well. I think energy levels he brings. He likes to play with a smile. He does sometimes do a bit of silly dancing. I always try and put these lot off, especially now Luke's back on bass, by pulling funny faces at him and try and make him laugh. Peacock, is all I'm going to say. So I think it's going really well.
But actually, what I realized when I was driving here towards Helsinki, I realized that this must be the first time that you guys are not playing in an Absolva show before Blaze's show. Or is it?
No, I think. Sorry. Yeah, we used to. I've definitely played Finland before, when it's only been Blaze, and no Absolva. But we've just done it for so long now that I think everybody's just forgot. And one of the main reasons we stopped it is probably similar to what you've just said. Is I think everybody got a little bit too used to it, and I just didn't want to become, oh yeah, Absolva will be on before Blaze, and it's kind of, we're just known for being the opening band. And there's a lot of big Absolva fans are like, come on guys, I don't want to watch 40 minutes of Absolva, I want to see 90 minutes, 2 hours Absolva headline show. So it was time, and Blaze was making the decision that he wanted to play longer shows and longer sets and do things like this. We're playing 2 nights in a row at Helsinki. So yeah, it was going to become impossible to continue, and you can't be the support band for one artist forever. So it's done us a lot of favours. It's done Blaze a lot of favours, because everyone thinks, oh yeah, it's people have discovered Absolva. It's happened the other way around also. Some people have discovered Blaze, and thought, oh yeah, he just did 2 songs with Iron Maiden and that was it. And then some Absolva fans came to the show and said, oh, this guy Blaze, he's okay. he's good. So it's worked hand in hand with everything. We only started doing it because of COVID originally, so we didn't have to share a dressing room with a support band and sneezing all over our microphones.
So how long you gonna tour doing Absolva shows and promoting that album, or do you have probably new stuff on the pipeline?
Well, the plan is we've still got quite a lot of UK shows for the rest of this year. First half of next year is looking like there's a lot of Blaze shows, but we still have some shows with Absolva planned. I'm actually looking through a lot of files and a lot of recordings that we've done over this year for the Justice tour, and we're probably going to release a new live album what we do is we record a lot of concerts on a certain tour, and then we listen back to them and we go, hey, we played this song really well in Hamburg, but we played this song better in Dusseldorf, and then we build the live album very old school. So, every track might be in a different city. So we're hoping to do a new live album for next year. We're also working on new material. I would like a new studio album a lot faster than the break that we had in between Fire in the Sky and Justice. And we're still touring. I've really got my sights on coming back to Finland and doing a full Absolva headline show again. Same with Sweden and Norway and the rest of Europe. But yeah, time is very precious. That we've figured out is we always have these plans for Blaze and plans for Absolva. Then suddenly remember we have girlfriends and wives and family at home as well, and suddenly they want to go on holiday and things. When you want to really go touring festivals. So you suddenly have to do a little bit of balancing act, So yeah, I mean, it never stops for us. That's the thing, is we're not just guys in a band. We're musicians. We kind of live and breathe this stuff, and I can't really remember the last time we had a break, because even in COVID we did 2 albums with Blaze, 2 albums with Absolva, so it wasn't really much of a break. So.
Well, Tom, question for you now. Once you guys are at the point when you start writing new music for Absolva, so what kind of a songwriter are you?
Well, this might be taken different ways. I'm probably a bit more of the heavier side of metal, really. I kind of prefer the more extreme, not too extreme, but the more extreme side. So basically, I know that with the way that these 2 guys do a lot of writing, it's send a riff and we'll build a song. Me and Luke have had a few little sessions before where I've just played a bit of a riff and he's gone like, oh, yeah, I like that. And before we know it, he's got a verse, he's got a pre-chorus, and it's like, oh, we've got the bare bones of a song already now. So it's going to be quite interesting working with these guys again to see how it goes and, see how much of my stuff stays in.
Yeah, it's the next album's definitely gonna have Tom's influence. The first Absolva album, it was a fresh sound then, because I wanted to make this 2 guitar thing a thing, because our previous band, Fury UK, was always a 3-piece, a power trio, and we really wrote songs for that. So when Tom joined with myself and Martin for that first Absolva album in 2012, it was all about 2 guitars. It was Thin Lizzy, Accept, and Megadeth. It was, you play solo, now bounce back to solo, and then we go together, and the fast guitar playing, melodic guitar playing, harmony guitar, and then it all comes back with massive drum, and then the big last chorus that you can't get out of your head, and then somebody else screams, so yeah, it was, everything was crafted to be very iconic and things that you'd want to hear on a stadium stage and a festival stage, and these 2 guitars just constantly almost sound like they're talking to each other, fighting each other, and then they come together with the harmonies, and everything ends up really melodic. So it was all a crazy idea, but it worked.
It worked.
I think that's the nice way to build a live album, that you get a song from here and a song from there, and there are people who go to see a lot of shows, so then they can say, oh, I was there, I also saw that show, and it's also a nice souvenir album, that kind of album. Yeah. And bands don't do live albums like anymore. It's rare stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I don't really know why. I mean, one of the main things is live albums were always an old school thing, and I think a lot of old bands used to do live albums to kind of finish the deal with the record label so they could get a new thing. And I know a lot of bands now, they don't do live albums, and they don't do live videos because they can't sell a DVD because it goes all onto YouTube immediately. So it's a different thing, but we are very much a live band. We don't play to click tracks or backing tracks or anything. Everything is 100% live as you see it, and because of that, it could be different every single night we play on a tour. One song will never be the same the next night. The solos might be a little bit longer, the drums might be a little bit, we might be a little bit faster one night, a little bit slow. It's all a bit more like the old days in the late 60s, early 70s.
I'm going to need another pint in a second. But to touch on this live album as well, I think something that is going to be very special is a good thing with us doing live albums is we can do it relatively quickly and get it out there to the public relatively quickly. And something I think we all feel is we want to get this version and this representation of Absolva out there as soon as possible, because in our live settings right now, it's absolutely dynamite. And something that I think is extra special for our future live albums is we have a couple of songs that have kind of come into the set list over the last few years, such as a song Side by Side, which live is completely different to the studio version. And that was just a kind of an idea. I think it started with Chris and an idea to just kind of make it a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more epic. And now I actually prefer the live version over the studio version. So at the moment, I think it's a crying shame that that is not on a CD at the moment. And then we have a couple of versions of a couple of songs that have that similar effect, really. I think we have Never Back Down from our second album, Anthems to the Dead. That is completely different to how the studio version goes. And that's a great version. So I think that'll be something really interesting and unique for our future live album, to contain those versions of these songs that are not out there on disc. And of course, it'll be fantastic to get the Justice songs on a live album as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there, you know.
Martin, what do you think? Live album, should there be your drum solo, like, you know?
Yeah, I have had one on the past. It's kind of in and out of fashion drum solos. I've never really been one for fashion. Well, just look at me. So I suppose in the moment they are making a bit of a comeback. I think it's been helped a lot by a lot of the Instagram, social media sort of drummers who take songs, do their own thing with it, and then rearrange it, do all their own style. So they've kind of come back into fashion again. So there could be a chance, although at the moment I'm only doing like little ones, and sometimes drum solos are like Marmite. I don't know if you have Marmite in Finland. You either love it or hate it. So it used to be the like running joke that whenever there was drum solo, that's when everybody would go to the bar and get a drink, because it was almost like a natural break for them and they wouldn't miss anything. But I don't know, if you look at like all the greatest drummers, all the ones I love, Bonham, Neil Peart, they have excellent drum solos. And like Ginger Baker, there was actually a time where the song was written around a drum solo. So I don't know, you never know. But I'm trying to keep it snappy and trying to get a few of my influences in. And some people in the know, fellow drummers or music enthusiasts, might just pick up on it. Oh, that's from that bit. Oh, that's from that bit. Whereas, I mean, I've got such a broad range of music that I like. I mean, on the way here, I listened to Prince, I listened to The Sweet, and then I listened to Rush. So it's always, my musical upbringing's always been so varied, and I try and take little bits from here, there, and everywhere. Some people may recognise some stuff, so next drum solo, see if you can recognise something and let me know.
This tells me a lot about, guys, the chemistry you have. You're laughing in here when you see bands they're doing press. They are, you know, like going to war. Everybody's like just sitting and having their war face, but you guys are you're having a laugh, and that's a good thing.
It's on the inside.
Yeah. I know. It's like a great football team. They're good on the pitch, but when they get in the dressing room, they're like, oh, mama. Well, just joking.
It sounds like Johnny Bravo.
But guys, nice to have you here. Great to see you, and hope to see you, like we talked earlier, full Absolva.
Yeah, we'll come back definitely. Thanks very much for having us, Mika. Good to see you again.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Kiitos.
Kiitos.